Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Corporate Services Committee meeting of Wednesday, July the 15th. I'm going to turn the meeting over to our clerk to do a roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Bateman.
Present.
Councillor Campion. Councillor Diodati.
I'm here.
Councillor Ganan.
Present.
Councillor Grant.
Present.
Acting Regional Chair Height. Councillor Encina.
I am here, thank you.
Councillor Olson.
Present.
Councillor Redicott. Councillor Seaborn.
Present.
Councillor Secord. Councillor Cisco. Councillor Whalen.
Present.
Councillor Zalepa.
I'm here, thank you.
And we're also joined today by Councillor Sorrento.
Thank you. I'll begin the meeting by reading our land acknowledgement statement. Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this morning? Seeing none. So we got quite a mix of things going on today, and there may be some readjustment of the meeting as we're going along to make sure that we do things as efficiently as we can. There are 4 delegations on today's agenda. One of these delegations, agenda item 4.2.1, was received after the deadline and will require a motion to permit the delegation. Councillor Olson, can I get you to move? And Councillor Secord, can I get you to second? Please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. So Sorrento doesn't get to vote. So what's that? Oh, just a second. Okay. There are 3 delegations, or there's 3 delegations with respect to Memorandum CSC 15-2026. We will take questions after hearing from all the delegates, and if there are no objections, we will move up the agenda item to be dealt with immediately following the delegations. Before I call on the first delegate, I will remind all of the delegates of the 10-minute time limit. I'll now call on Lucas Brzezy. I'm sorry, I'm going to massacre the name. Brzezy? Chief Operating Officer, Canadian Metal Buildings, Inc., for his delegation.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chair, members of Council, and regional staff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you today. My name is Lucas Brzezy, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Canadian Metal Buildings. Today, I'm here on behalf of our entire organization to respectfully ask you to consider the expediting of the review and ideally approval of our application under the Gateway Economic Zone and Center Community Improvement Plan for the Niagara Regional Development Charge Grant. We would also kindly ask that should our application receive approval, that under the Niagara Region's DC deferral policy, staff expedite the DC deferral application. This isn't simply about a grant. It's about whether one of Canada's fastest growing manufacturing companies can continue to make a major investment right here in the Niagara region. Canadian Metal Buildings has been manufacturing or building up manufacturing capacity since 1964. Over the past 6 decades, we've grown from a local steel fabricator into one of Canada's leading pre-engineered metal building systems manufacturers. We've achieved that growth by continuously investing in people, technology, automation, innovation, and manufacturing capabilities. Today, we employ highly skilled tradespeople, engineers, project managers, and support staff while serving customers across the nation. Our purpose is simple. It's building better buildings and building better lives. And that philosophy extends beyond our employees. It includes investing in communities where people can build careers, raise families, and contribute to the long-term economic growth. The Canadian manufacturing landscape has changed quite rapidly. Supply chain is uncertain, international trade pressures are present, and increasing demand for domestically manufactured products have created a tremendous opportunity for Canadian manufacturers like ourselves. The Canadian pre-engineered metal building market is expected to nearly double over the next decade, and we believe Canada should build that capacity right here, not anywhere else. Our company has made the decision to invest heavily within expanding Canadian manufacturing, and the question was never whether we should invest, the question became where. Our leadership team evaluated a numerous amount of municipalities, and we ultimately selected Welland in the Niagara region as it became the preferred location because it checked every box required for our long-term investment. First was the location, 460 River Road, Welland, Ontario. Niagara provides excellent transportation across southern Ontario while positioning us for future growth. The second was the workforce. The region offers an outstanding partnership with Niagara College, Brock University, and the skilled trades, giving us the confidence that we can continue attracting and developing that top talent that we need. Third was the available industrial land. Finding a parcel of land big enough to support our long-term vision was not easy. We even increased the purchase from the initial 6 acres to the 12.5 acres on the parcel to have future plans for investment. The site allows us to consolidate multiple operations into one modern headquarters while leaving room for future expansion. The fourth is the affordability aspect. Land pricing made the project financially feasible. And finally, and most importantly, the economic development programs available through the Niagara region and the City of Welland, including the Industrial Development Charge Grant and the Tax Increment-Based Grant through the Gateway Economic Zone and Center CIP program, formed a critical part on the financial analysis that justified selecting Niagara over competing jurisdictions. Throughout the 3-year process, the Welland staff has been extremely supportive. Based on the information provided to us, we understood that our project qualified under both the Industrial Development Charge Grant Program as well as the Gateway CIP program. At every stage, we moved forward believing these incentives would always be available to us. That confidence influenced our decision to ultimately purchase the land and proceed with the design. What this investment means is that the project represents far more than constructing another industrial building for Canadian Metal Buildings. It represents the future headquarters of Canadian Metal Buildings. It allows us to consolidate operations currently spread across multiple facilities. It improves our efficiency. It strengthens our ability to compete internationally. And most importantly, this investment creates long-term manufacturing jobs right here in the Niagara region. Beyond the direct employment opportunities, it brings people and their families into this community who will purchase homes. They'll spend their hard-earned money at local businesses and support the region's economy and contribute through local property taxes. The result is a lasting economic impact that extends well beyond our facility. Beyond our direct employees, this investment generates work for local contractors, engineers, consultants, suppliers, and even transportation companies, and a numerous amount of other businesses throughout this region. Every dollar invested circulates throughout the local economy, and according to Statistics Canada, an investment of this level would approximately bring $40.7 million back into this local economy. This is the precise type of advanced manufacturing that every economic development program is designed to attract. So the current challenge is that unfortunately, despite meeting the eligible requirements, we were informed that the grant funding was unavailable due to budget constraints. We certainly understand that budget constraints, we understand that there are budget constraints. However, from our perspective, this became an issue after significant decisions on our behalf have been made and based on the understanding that the program would support eligible projects. The financial impact is quite significant. The regional development charges represent approximately $830,000 that are unexpected project costs at this time. For any manufacturing project, That is a substantial amount of capital, and capital that could be otherwise deployed in investing in equipment, technology, workforce planning, and just to support our future growth. So the impact isn't simply about absorbing additional costs here. These dollars must come from somewhere. It may mean reducing the scope of the project, delaying planned investments, slowing our hiring process, or reconsidering aspects of our long-term growth strategy that we worked hard to establish. While none of these options are of our preference, they become necessary when project economics change this dramatically. We've invested a considerable amount of time, money, resources, and we generally want this project to succeed right here in Niagara. But as business leaders, we have a responsibility to ensure major capital investments remain financially responsible. Our request, we're not asking for special treatment here. We're simply asking for the region to honor the intent of the program specifically created to attract industrial investment. We appreciate the recommendations already being considered by staff, and we respectfully ask Council to support the approval of our Gateway CIP application and direct staff to expedite the review and approval of our application. Recognize our project already has an approval through the Niagara Region Development Charge Grant Program contained in the Gateway CIP, and expedite a development charge deferral agreement so we can continue moving forward without jeopardizing our construction schedule. Timing is critical. Our lease obligations require us to occupy our new headquarters and be operational by early 2028. To meet that timeline, we need to begin construction as soon as possible. Every delay increases project costs and puts that schedule behind and the project at risk. In closing, I'd like to finish with one final thought for everybody. Economic development programs exist to encourage companies to invest where they might not otherwise exist. Canadian Metal Buildings made that decision. We chose Welland. We chose Niagara. We purchased the land. We're committed to building here because we believe that the region wanted manufacturing investment. Today, we're asking you to help us ensure that investment can move forward as planned. This project represents jobs. It represents economic growth, increased assessment, long-term manufacturing capacity, and confidence that the Niagara region can continue to be a place where businesses choose to invest. We want our next chapter to honestly be written here. We respectfully ask for your support. Thank you, and I'd be open to any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to go through all three of the delegations first before we ask questions. So,
Thank you, Chair.
okay, and thank you. Next, Kevin Jacoby, the Vice Chair of the Niagara Industrial Association.
Good morning, Chair, councillors, staff. Thank you so much for your time this morning and my opportunity to speak on behalf of CMB this morning. My name is Kevin Jacoby, and I'm appearing here on behalf of the Industrial Association of Niagara. Niagara Industrial Association represents manufacturers, industrial employers, and businesses that invest in our region. Our members create jobs, expand our tax base, and strengthen Niagara's economy. Because of that, we pay close attention to policies that influence where companies choose to invest. And believe me, in this environment we have right now, it is a choice. Today, I'm here to support Canadian Metal Buildings in their request for a development charge deferral. CMB is a valued member of the NIA and is actively engaged in NIA's effort to support and grow industry in Niagara. However, I'm equally here because this matter raises broader concerns about the integrity and administration of one of Niagara Region's key economic development programs. From information before committee, there is no dispute that CMB is an eligible applicant. Regional staff have confirmed that the proposed facility qualifies under the Industrial Use Regional Development Charge Grant Program. The company made the decision to locate its new manufacturing facility in Welland after evaluating opportunities across Southern Ontario, relying on the incentive framework that existed through both the City of Welland and the Niagara region. This is not a speculative project. This represents approximately $11 million in investment, significant new manufacturing capacity, and approximately 100 new full-time jobs. Those are exactly the kind of investments this program was designed to attract. From the NIA's perspective, there are two issues before the committee. The first is fairness to the applicant. A company made a location decision based on publicly available incentive programs, purchased land, expanded the scope of its investment, and moved forward believing those incentives would be available if it met the eligible requirements. Now, through no fault of their own, it is learned that the regional program has no available funding because prior commitments from the previous year have already consumed the annual allocation for this year. The NIA believes council should make every reasonable effort to ensure this project proceeds through an appropriate development charge deferral, while alternatively, the regional funding path is considered. The second issue is larger, of course, than CMB. This concerns every industrial investor considering Niagara. At the February 2026 budget meeting, council voted to continue industrial development charge grant program with a $1 million annual budget. At no point during that discussion, based on the information now available, was it communicated that most or all of that allocation has already been committed through a prior deferral arrangement in the previous year. If council did not have that information, it could not fully evaluate the practical impact of the decision it was making. Likewise, if applicants continue to be encouraged to prepare submissions after staff know that there is no realistic funding capacity available, that creates unnecessary cost, unnecessary expectations, and ultimately damages confidence in Niagara's investment attraction efforts. This is bigger than one application. Economic development depends on trust. Companies invest millions of dollars based on the information government provides. When the information appears inconsistent with how programs are being administered, businesses naturally begin to question whether they can rely on future incentive programs. That uncertainty makes Niagara less competitive. Accordingly, the Niagara Industrial Association respectfully asks the committee to, first, support a development charge deferral for Canadian Metal Buildings through the most appropriate mechanism available under the regional policy so this important manufacturing investment can proceed. And second, direct staff to report back to the administration of this program, including when the 2026 funding allocation became fully committed, why that information was not presented during the February budget deliberations, and why applicants continue to be encouraged to apply once funding capacity has effectively been exhausted. Finally, review the program's communication process so the future applicants receive clear and timely information whether funding has been fully allocated. Our objective today is not to assign blame. Our objective is to preserve confidence in Niagara as a place to where businesses can make major investment decisions with certainty and when council's economic development programs operate transparently and predictably. The Niagara Industrial Association is not asking council to revisit matters of the development charge incentive program today. You already made your will known in February when you made your policy decision. We are asking council to ensure the program is administered in a way that provides certainty, transparency, and confidence to the businesses it was created to attract. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to take questions later as well.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to call now on Lena DeShellis, Director, Economic and Strategic Initiatives from the City of Welland.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair, members of Corporate Services, and regional staff. I'm Lena DeShellis, Director of Economic Development and Strategic Initiatives for the City of Welland. With me are my colleagues, Grant Monday, Director of Development Services, and Lisa Allen, Manager of Economic Development. We are here today speaking from the city's perspective regarding industrial use regional development charge grant program and its impact on the Canadian Metal Buildings project proposed for 460 River Road. The City of Welland has been working with Canadian Metal Buildings for approximately 3 years to bring this investment to our community. This has not been a short-term conversation or speculative inquiry. It has been a sustained economic development effort involving significant time, coordination, and support to help position Welland as the right location for this company's expansion. Canadian Metal Buildings is proposing to build a new 100,000 square foot building at 460 River Road that will be both their corporate headquarters and primary manufacturing and fabrication facility. This is exactly the type of investment that both the city and the region have been working to attract: new industrial development, new assessment growth, new employment, and long-term private sector investment in Niagara. This project is expected to create over 100 direct jobs in our community and will contribute to the region in its initial phase, with the company's goal to grow to approximately 200 jobs through future expansion. It is a significant opportunity for Welland and for the broader Niagara economy. These are the kinds of investments that strengthen our industrial base, create local employment, and support long-term economic resilience of our communities. When Canadian Metal Buildings made the decision to come to Welland, that decision was made with the understanding of Regional Development Charge Incentive Program and the support that was communicated as being available through the region. From the city's perspective, that incentive was not a minor detail. It was an important part of the business case that helped make this investment viable and helped support the company's decision to move forward in Welland. The city has invested considerable time and effort in supporting this project because it aligns directly with our shared economic priorities. The concern before council today is that the city understands regional staff are now advising that no industrials RDC grant funding is currently available in 2026 to support the application associated with 460 River Road. We understand this because the full 2026 program envelope is being reserved for previously approved applications that entered into a one-year deferral agreement in 2025. As a result, the development charges for this project would be payable in full at building permit issuance, which be a material cost. More importantly, it is a material change from the expectations that informed this investment decision. For a company that has been working with the city for years and that have made its decision to locate in Welland, based in part on the availability of regional DC investments incentives, this creates a serious issue of communication, process, investor confidence, and serious reputational damage. The city recognizes that industrial use RDC grant program is discretionary and that regional council reduced the annual program budget from $2 million to $1 million as part of the 2026 budget process. We also recognize that council must manage program limits responsibly. However, our concern is that during the February 12th Budget Committee discussion, where this program was considered, it was our understanding that the program budget became exhausted in 2026. Applications or additional funding requests would be brought forward to Regional Council for consideration. It was not our understanding that 2025 deferral commitments would effectively reserve the entire 2026 budget and result in new 2026 applications being declined administratively without council review. This is not only about one application, it's about how municipalities and investors rely on regional economic development programs when making major investment decisions. It is about whether the process is transparent, whether expectations are clearly communicated, and whether council can consider projects of regional significance when program demand exceeds the available allocation. Due to the industrial use development charge grant being exhausted, the city respectfully requests that Regional Corporate Services direct staff to enter into a development charge deferral agreement with CMB under the Gateway Economic Zone and Center CIP. Without this consideration, CMB would be required to pay approximately $830,000 in development charges, which will be overall negative impact on this investment. The City of Welland remains fully committed to this project and has approved CMB's Gateway Economic Zone and Center CIP, which exempts them from paying city development charges. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with the Niagara region, Canadian Metal Buildings, and all partners to keep this important investment moving forward. By bringing this matter forward for review and direction, the committee can help reinforce transparency, strengthen municipal partnership, and demonstrate that Niagara's economic development tools are being used effectively to support the industrial growth they were designed to attract. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've had the three delegations this morning. If anybody has any questions, and I'm now asking for questions on clarification on the delegations that have been provided. We can save editorial comments for the report when it comes up. So any questions that anyone has? So we'll start with Councillor Olson, and just mention who it is that you want to speak to, and we'll go from there.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to speak to Lucas, if I could.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Lucas and Kevin, can you both come up, and that way we aren't going to see you guys shuffling around all over the place. So.
Sorry, Chair. Was I included in the delegation?
Sorry?
I was supposed to be also included in the delegation.
So are you Adrian?
Yes.
But that's for a separate issue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So go ahead, Councillor Olson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My questions are to Kevin, or not to Kevin, but Lucas. How many people do you employ right at the moment?
82.
82 people right at the
Two
moment?
full-time employees, yes.
And this new facility will be another 100?
That is correct.
And then there's a
100
potential for a
plus.
few further 100?
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt, Chair. Could we have the delegates come to the mic? Sorry to interrupt, to Councillor Olson.
Yes,
Yeah.
just to repeat,
So-
so we currently have 82 employees, full-time employees, and we're looking to add on about 100 plus full-time employees over the next 3 years.
And by the way, just for everyone, it's through the chair. So if you have questions and stuff, don't get into a quick back and forth debate here, okay? So go ahead, Councillor Olson.
Thank you, Chair. I feel like I'm interrupted here now again, so I'm going to start over again, if I may. So through the chair, we're talking about 82 jobs in existence, another 100 with the expansion to 122,000 square feet. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
And then a further prospect of another 100 people.
That is also correct.
Yeah. So through the chair, now that the indirect jobs that come from this are probably on a multiple of 5 or something like that, I'm guessing. So what we're probably talking about here is not 100 jobs. We're probably talking about existing and proposed 750 jobs. Is that correct?
Could be accurate over the next, say, 5 years or so, yes.
And through the chair, we've also been told that one of the reasons why you like Niagara region is because of the fact that we have universities and colleges and a lot of different things that take place here. And is that correct?
Yeah, like you heard in my delegation there, I mean, it was one of the main factors, right? The partners with Niagara College, Brock University, and the skilled trades that are available within the region to pick from for filling our labor pool. So absolutely, this region was specifically chosen for that reason as well.
Okay, thank you. And through the chair now, those are other things that you have. You have technical staff. How many robots and how many technical people do you employ at the?
Yes. So with this new facility expansion, right now we do have automation within our facility, but this is going to be a state-of-the-art, fully automated manufacturing facility to manufacture pre-engineered metal building systems. That doesn't mean it's going to replace people. People think that automation replaces people. It doesn't. We still need people to run those machines. We still need people to support those machines and support our customers nationwide. We deal with authorized builders across the nation. So yes, there's going to be support staff, project managers, project coordinators, finance people, a number of frontline workers as well within the plant. So it's an array of full-time jobs that we are after.
Thank you, and through your chair. So these are skilled jobs, and there's an opportunity for people to advance from the shop floor into these other jobs, I suppose.
Absolutely, and our goal is to actually build well, we have CMB University internally, a part of our organization, but our job is to work with the colleges, the universities, and those type of operations to attract more skilled people, but also continuous education, making sure that they have the necessary tools in order to be successful on the floor. Yeah.
And through your chair, what type of processes and materials are you using there? Rolling mills or laser welding, that sort of thing? That's the kind of questions I'm getting into.
That's correct. Yeah. So we fabricate hot rolled members as well as cold form steel. So we wide flange beams, cold form steel that is going through rolled formers. We have robotic welders. We have CNC automation, CNC plasma machines, laser machines, and automated material handling as well that will be going into the facility, and painting as well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Olson. Just for those of you that are online, the next four speakers are Encina, Seaborn, Bateman, and Campion. So go ahead, Councillor Encina.
Thank you, Chair. Just a real quick question of Mr. Chalice. Regarding the commitment Welland, the City of Welland has made, what kind of dollar value are we talking about?
Okay, so for industrial development charges, we do not have the industrial development charges, and they fit under that category. So just let me check with the TIG what that means for the, I have it here. And I just need my glasses too. Can't see. So municipal taxes for the municipal grant for each year for 10 years is just over 225,000.
225,000?
Yeah, per year. That's just the municipal grant, because they receive 90%.
I'm sorry, through you, that's per year?
Through you, Chair, yes, correct.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Encina. Councillor Seaborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to probably Lucas, but it could probably be answered by anyone. If I understand correctly, there is a grant that we approved in February, which by that time was already depleted. And so you're looking to go into next year's program? Is that what I understand? Because if it's gone, it's gone. So are you looking with the hope that we will approve for 2027?
Can I defer this to Ken, please?
Whoever, thank you.
Through the chair, at the Budget Committee on February 12th, there was discussion by Regional Council regarding reducing the budget for the Industrial DC grant from 2 million down to 1 million. There was conversation asked about what should happen if Niagara Region Industrial DC grant application should come in 2026. The expectation was that there was $1 million in budget available, and should that budget become exhausted through applications, that future applications would be brought to Regional Council for approval. On March 31st, so after that Budget Committee meeting, CMB submitted an Industrial DC grant application to the Niagara Region. On April 22nd, we were informed that our application had been denied due to a lack of funding in 2026 due to deferrals that were provided in 2025. So as a result, since CMB was also submitting a Gateway Economic Zone and Center CIP application, which contains a secondary Niagara Region Development Charge Grant Program, we have asked staff and are asking council to approve that application and to enter into a DC deferral agreement with CMB to postpone the collection of those DCs. So we are not asking to access the industrial DC grant at this time.
Thank you for that. No further questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Seaborn. Councillor Bateman.
My question was just asked. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman. Councillor Campion.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I guess my first question would be to Mr. Jacoby. He's up there. So actually, I'm going to ask the same question to Mr. Braziz as well, so you can prepare for your answer as we hear from Mr. Jacoby. So from the NIA perspective, what is the position on industrial incentives? So DCs, deferrals, et cetera, the whole concept of gateway and economic development incentives. And when I'm asking that question, I'm looking at it, from my perspective, it appears to be, it should be, and it is a significant incentive. But maybe you could give me just from your perspective with the NIA, how do they feel and what value do they put on these incentives?
Certainly, through the chair. The DC deferral program is very important to industrial members, both for encouraging new people to our community, to create jobs, and to increase our tax base, as well as to existing companies for them to expand and adapt for an ever-changing industrial environment, not only regionally or municipally, but provincially, federally, internationally. These types of grant deferrals are things that we can't get a bank to give us a loan for. This is not something we're able to apply for under that. We're looking at having to do a capital expenditure at the beginning of our process in order for us to be able to achieve the end goal, which is to make us more efficient and more competitive in the environment. There are very few tools that you have under the Municipal Act to be able to attract. And being a border community, we're not only facing other communities within Ontario, we're also dealing with the idea of people in Pennsylvania and New York trying to attract our businesses across the border. This program gives you something that shows confidence and shows that both municipalities and the region are working together to have a cohesive plan to grow industry here and be more sustainable in Niagara.
So thank you for that. And maybe just supplementary to that, Mr. Jacoby, through the chair, so these incentives, in your opinion, the NIA's opinion, do they work? So do you feel that these incentives actually do attract development and investment in the Niagara region? And, as you have indicated, as a competitive advantage over perhaps other jurisdictions, including in the United States?
Through the chair, definitely. We have a history. We see which businesses have chosen Niagara to become part of our community because of weighing in the benefits of a deferral for DC charges. We've seen businesses take the commitment to expand and to develop their businesses to expand outwards because they have the confidence and have the ability, with the help of these DC deferrals, for them to be able to invest their money to increase their ability to have more jobs and have more economic output. So we have examples in all our communities across Niagara where industry has benefited from these. It's from the idea of an AK in Port Colborne to the idea of Stampak that you have out in Lincoln. You have all these different companies that rely on these programs in order to help them balance out the changes that are happening and allow them to adapt faster and maintain the jobs not only that they currently have, but more jobs in the future.
Thank you. And through the chair, finally, Mr. Jacoby, it's also often described by people that these are costs associated. So there's a cost to the deferrals or to some of these incentives. And there's also the concept of it's an investment. From your perspective on the NIA, how do they view that? Do they view that as a cost to the municipalities or the regions, or do you view that as an investment?
Through the chair, it's an investment. As we already heard for CB this morning, is your investment of that deferral of a little over $800,000 will result in $1 million adding into your tax base. This is not, that's only directly from their company. We're not even talking about the idea of the ancillary jobs that are created through those families that will be here in Niagara and using other commercial and industrial companies to facilitate their standard of living here. We have industry proven itself that it is not a handout. It's not a hand up. It's the idea of an investment in the future of our tax base, an investment in the future of industry in Niagara for us for export development.
Thank you for those answers. And through the chair, I would like to pose just not all of those questions to Mr. Braziz, but just the very first one. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, Lucas, please.
I won't ask Ms. DeChellis anything because her office is right beside mine, so I can ask her at any time. So, Mr. Braziz, really just looking, and I apologize for not being able to attend in person today. That was my plan, but it didn't work out that way. So, just from your perspective, as somebody that's going to be investing millions of dollars into the community, your perspective on the competitive advantage concepts with regards to these incentive programs.
Yes, to the chair. I mean, it's completely competitive. I mean, as you heard earlier in my delegation there, we engaged with multiple municipalities over the past several years, and ideally, it was part of the decision making process. It allowed us to look at things like investing the capital into automation, the workforce, things of that nature. And it actually made the project feasible, able to build the facility that we need to supply the demand that's out there, right? I mean, there truly is a demand for these pre-engineered metal buildings across the nation and internationally, and it's just not feasible if we don't have the capacity to do it. We're capacity constrained right now, and we don't want to let our customers down, and we want to be able to be successful. So it definitely made it overall feasible for us to proceed forward with the decision to move to Welland in the Niagara region. Sorry.
Thank you. And through the chair, if you'll allow, I just had a separate question for Mr. Braziz as well. So, Mr. Braziz, these are challenging times that we're in. Tariffs, uncertainty in global markets, supply chain issues, multiple issues that are very challenging for anyone that's operating a business, number one, but in particular, looking at expansion of industry at the same time. So I wonder if you could give us just a bit of an idea as to what prompted you. You've indicated, you're at capacity, but it's still a challenging and risky is not the right word, but you really have to analyze what you're doing during these difficult times with regards to tariffs. What prompted you, aside from you're hitting your capacity, to actually make that significant investment during times of turmoil?
Yeah, through the chair, I can kind of relate to it in a way where our competitive advantage is a part of Canadian metal buildings because we look at things a little bit differently than our competitors. We're attracting a lot of these builders nationwide and showing them that not only our products but our services are at the top of our competition. And it's allowing us to attract a lot more of that market share. So it's not just the capacity. Like we can't keep expanding or adding to that market share that we're capitalizing on unless we expand our operations. It's going to be totally sustainable, and we're not worried about if and when tariffs go away, that things are going to go back to the States. I mean, we're keeping them in-house, and there's things that we're doing a part of our operation to make sure that is true.
Okay, well, thank you for your answers and congratulations on your Canadian success story. Those are all my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Campion. Thank you to the delegations this morning. We very much appreciate it, and thank you for the great questions from Council. So with that, we're going to move into the report. So you guys can sit down.
Thank you.
And ladies, I'm sorry. We're going to put agenda item 6.3, which is, by the way, a consent item that would have been in front of us for it to be received. So agenda item 6.3, CSC C15 2026. Before we put it on the floor, I'm going to turn to staff to provide some commentary to provide an overall view of what's going on at this point in time. So Beth, go ahead.
Good morning, through the chair. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this memo. So I think it's important to acknowledge that what we're ending up talking about right now are two different programs. The letter that staff received, I can't remember, May 28th, was in relation to the discretionary industrial DC program. So as council remembers, through the budget process, there was a cap applied to that program of $1 million. When this application came forward, staff did not have the authority. So regardless of the quality of the application, at this point in time, we were not able to award as there wasn't adequate funding available. Since the report or the memo was finalized, we did have another application for the program change. And so there was an additional $299,000 that was freed up in the Industrial DC grant program. So regardless of what happens today, that amount is available to the applicant, and we did note that is available to them. The second piece that was brought forward through the presentations today, in fairness, has not been covered in the memo in front of you today, is in regards to the Gateway program. So what I really would like to do, if the chair's okay, just to turn it over to Mr. Turner, just to speak to this particular application status with the region, what that means for the application or the applicant in relation to our program and the possible funding and options available to them through that program, which is a separate and distinct program to the Industrial DC program. So I think it's important that I wanted to clarify the memo in front of you this morning does not speak to the Gateway program. That's separate and distinct and should be considered separately.
To Chair Foster, so thank you for the opportunity. Just to give a quick comparison of the two programs, so the one that Beth had first mentioned, the industrial use program, that is the one that is discussed mostly within the memo you see here. That is where we determine that a company meets our industrial use definition, as well as shows that they do have some economic benefit to the region. They would then be approved based on being a manufacturer and showing that they have some job creation and construction value that they're contributing. But that, again, as we mentioned, we do have that $1 million cap. So although a company could be eligible as a manufacturer, if the funding wasn't there, we aren't able to approve for that. As far as for the Gateway CIP program, so that is a separate program that we do have. Just to give, again, a quick synopsis of that, there's three main components for that program. So one being that they show they have a certain amount of job creation. The other one is that they have a certain amount of capital expenditures. And the third one is smart growth design criteria, so the design components of the building. Depending on the amount of jobs, the amount of construction value, and the type of smart growth design points they're able to achieve, they can achieve a certain amount of points that would get them a higher tax increment grant amount for up to 10 years. And there's also the development charge component with that program. So if they're able to achieve 14 out of 20 points, then they could be eligible for a development charge grant worth up to $1.5 million, so long as other conditions are met, such as the city also waiving or granting development charges. So just a few things I wanted to mention with this company in particular is that we received from the City of Welland just last week, Monday, July 6th, a Gateway CIP application for this property. We've been working with the city last week and as early as this week to receive additional information to help complete the application, to make sure we have everything we need to verify that. So working with our urban design planner to verify the smart growth design points as well. Right now it's with our finance department just to verify the financials provided by the City of Welland when it comes to the tax increment grant, to make sure that we have accurate calculations there. One final thing I just want to mention is, so with the industrial use program, we are able to verify the eligibility up front, understanding that it's primarily about the use of the facility. So we can tell, okay, this, you're a car manufacturer as an example, we can verify that right away. Whereas with the Gateway CIP program, we don't grant up front for the development charges because of that requirement to verify that they reached a certain amount of jobs, the certain amount of capital expenditures, and that they actually did achieve the smart growth design criteria that was submitted in their application. So again, I'm not unable to comment on approval right now while it's still being reviewed by staff, as mentioned with our finance team, just making sure that the amounts are correct that were provided to us. But again, that's sort of the main reason why we don't typically grant that up front. It would be something that would be verified and they'd have to pay the development charges up front. And then after construction is complete, when we can actually count the annual job verification, capital expenditures, and design, that we could then see they have the right amount of points to be offered back a refund, if you will, of those development charges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll put the report on the floor at this point. CSC 15, 2026. Councillor Seaborn, can I get you to move that we put this report on the floor as to receive? Yes, and Councillor Olson, can I get you to second it, please? Thank you. So it's now open for council for consideration. So with that, I see Councillor Redekop. Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you. So in terms of the information that we just received from Mr. Turner, do we have any idea what the maximum amount the proponent could receive through the Gateway CIP in terms of development charges?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, again, these are preliminary as they're being still confirmed by finance, but it could be roughly $250,000 annually from the Niagara region for 10 years, so close to $2.5 million for the tax increment grant portion.
What about the development charge portion you made reference to?
So if they were to be granted under that program and separate from the industrial use, I believe the amount was around $700,000, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it right in front of me. Oh, sorry. $831,000 I'm seeing from my finance colleague.
The full amount of what they're requesting relief for with respect to the industrial use DC grant.
So yes, that would be the $830,000 through the chair to Councillor Redekop.
Thank you. And if I might, Chair, Mr. Turner, you indicated that the application was received within the last few days under the Gateway CIP.
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, you are correct. We received it from the city on Monday, July 6th, so last week.
Okay, and if I might, Chair, was there any indication prior to that this application would be coming forward?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, I believe we did have conversations with city staff that there would be an application coming at some point, but again, it was Monday last week that we had received it.
And just to take this a step further, if I might, Chair, if the proponent is counting on the Gateway CIP grant and does receive the full amount of DC relief, would it also qualify for relief under the industrial use DC grant?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, so there are cases where a company could apply for both programs, be eligible for both programs. However, we have written within our policies that they can only receive a grant for one of those programs for development charges. So there's no situation where they could double dip on the development charge grants.
Okay, just so that I can parse that. If the relief requested today was granted and subsequently a grant under the Gateway CIP was approved, including $831,000 for DC relief, the developer could only receive one DC relief grant, either through the industrial use or through the Gateway CIP. Is that correct?
You are correct to the maximum amount of RDCs that would be payable, which was that $830,000.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but from what you've seen so far with respect to the Gateway CIP application, does it look like this could very well be approved?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, from what I have seen so far and pending anything else from staff, it does look like this would be eligible and would be approved for the Gateway CIP program.
Okay, so then if that were the case, if we approve the request today, we won't end up having to dip into the taxpayer relief fund in order to get the $831,000. It would come out of the Gateway CIP funding envelope. Is that correct?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, so I'm not able to comment on how or which fund that would be, funding for this development charge, but it would also depend on if we go with the typical Gateway CIP RDC program where it's deferred into future years, or if council were to approve a deferral. I'm not able to comment on that from my perspective, but perhaps one of my colleagues in finance is better suited for that one.
Just before
Is there someone here available?
Before you go on, Councillor Redekop, do you want to make comment on that?
Through the chair, staff had not conferred before this meeting as to what this could look like, but I would say the industrial DC grant program, the discretionary industrial DC grant program, the applicant meets the criteria. We know we have $299,000 in room. My recommendation would be, unless someone tells me otherwise, that would be still made available to them, and that anything through the Gateway CIP in relation to DCs would, the amount that we provide them under the industrial DC grant program should be netted off the remaining outstanding DC refundable through the Gateway CIP.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, and if I might, Chair, so is there funding available for the DC portion of a grant under the Gateway CIP program?
I'm going to. Do you want to answer? Yep.
Through the chair, a couple of things, just to be clear, they do have to pay that up front, so the differential they would be required to pay. The Gateway program is a relatively newer program. We haven't had a lot of uptake on that program, so we budget based on previous experience. That is something that we would bring forward part of the 2027 budget, and specifically to the DCs. As you're aware, any TIG budget or grants provided as a TIG are paid through by assessment growth. So that's covered off. The anomaly here will be that the DC funding portion for the Gateway will have to be budgeted next year.
So, Chair, just from a logistical aspect, if we were to approve the request today for the relief under the industrial use development charge grant program, and subsequently the Gateway CIP application was approved, I presume that under the industrial use, the developer doesn't have to pay anything up front. They simply are given the relief, and then they proceed, and they're given that relief at the time they file for their building permit. Is that correct? Or is there some other logistical somersault in here?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, you're correct. If they were to be approved for the full amount by council under the industrial use program, they would have a 90-day approval window where with that letter from us, they would be able to go to the City of Welland's building department and get their building permit without having any regional development charges payable at that time. Because again, under that program, we're able to verify that their use is, would be manufacturing and doesn't require that after the fact verification that's necessary for the Gateway program with its own criteria.
So in that event, if it eliminates the after the fact verification component of the Gateway CIP program, does that then eliminate them from qualifying for that program?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Redekop, it would for the development charge portion, but they would still be eligible for the tax increment grant portion. There have been other companies that have been able to access both separately, so to have the tax increment grant under Gateway and the development charge grants under industrial. But again, they're not able to double dip, and they're unable to ever get granted more in development charges than what would be payable to us.
Yeah, I understand that. So there seems to be no risk if they were to proceed to get the grant relief today, because it actually puts them in a better position in terms of the development charges grant. They don't have to pay it up front like they do under the Gateway CIP program, and they don't have to worry about verification of jobs because they've already got the money. So in terms of what we've been told with respect to applications under the industrial use program, how many are outstanding that were applied for before March 31st, 2026, as referred to in the report?
Turning it over here to Director Chen.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. So before we receive the industrial use DC grant application from the delegates on March 31st, there was in total $701,000 that was committed out of the $1 million annual funding cap.
I think I understand that, but I'm not sure that it's responsive to my question. Are there other outstanding applications that the report refers to that if the grant relief requested today was provided, there would be others who have made applications before March 31st who would somehow be prejudiced? So were there other grant applications that have been...
Yep, your question's clear. Go ahead, Director Chen.
Through the chair to the councillor, to answer your question, there was no other outstanding application prior to March 31st. So the applicant or the delegate is the next in line to receive the remaining funding under the industrial grant program.
Thank you. And from what Ms. Brands has said, there's $299,000 currently available to address the $831,000 request for grant relief today under the industrial use program, which means that it's $522,000 that would be required from the taxpayer relief fund. Is that correct?
Well, yes. And by the way, your time is up, Councillor Redekop. So I believe that's exactly correct what you just said. So.
Okay, then I'm good. Thank you very much, Chair, for your indulgence.
Okay, Councillor Seaborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councillor Redekop, because that was quite an involved question, and you've answered a lot of my questions. So I'm going to really dumb it down now. If there is $299,000 currently available in the industrial use discretionary DC plan, they could apply for that today and be accepted. Is that correct?
I would suggest to you if they've met all the criteria, of course.
Okay. Now, if they accept that $299,000, they can still apply for the Gateway program, of which apparently the City of Welland has already approved their portion, which is $225,000 per year, and they can get $250,000 from the region. Is that correct? Okay, that's all of my questions.
I see a nodding head, so we'll put it on verbal.
Thank you.
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Seaborn, I just want to be clear. So that would be for a separate, the tax increment grant would be $250,000 roughly per year from the Niagara region. For the development charge portion, they could technically become eligible for these the remaining development charges. However, under the Gateway program, as mentioned, they would have to pay the remaining upfront and then would have it verified after construction is complete for the jobs, the capital expenditures, and the design criteria for that.
Through the chair, thank you very much for that clarification. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Seaborn. Councillor Olson.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the fact that the previous two speakers asked those questions, because I think that clarified a lot of things with the answers and things. But I want to go back to the presentation, if I might, in the company. And I'm pleased that we had everybody here today to speak to us, because there's a place for respect and trust and confidence in this type of a thing. And I think the speakers we had were very competent and told us the story of a successful thing. I've been here many times in exactly the same spot that you've been in, trying to decide where I was going to put a company and where I was going to go. And I can tell you that there was the competition was intense. Competition from places you wouldn't expect. and much heavier inducements to move there than what we see on the table here today. And often this was the last piece of the puzzle, was what the community could come forward with. And I appreciate the fact that Welland has done this and their part. But one of the things that the aspects that I want to talk about is there's not that many head offices in Niagara region. A lot of branch plants and a lot of different places, and there's they don't have the head office, and the head office brings a lot of different things with it. They bring technology, they bring skills, they bring engagement in the community. And we heard this morning that one of the factors one factor was the local education system, and the fact that relationships with Brock University and Niagara College, and then they have their own internal university apparently, which is advanced thinking on its own. So I want to be very positive about the fact that we're going to be getting another head office, or a head office staying right here, because those will be some of our best citizens. They will be some of the people that understand the dignity of work, and they'll help us realize our investments, because we've made investments that are going to be realized by having a company of this size, and they're indirect people. We've got an investment in our roads and logistics in the community. We've got investment in our transit. We've got investment in our healthcare. And more people will realize this in our school boards, and et cetera. So I'm hoping that this process will, or this application will be approved, and we can get on with this, because I think this will be an excellent addition to our industrial base in the community. And I see a lot of nods there from Kevin Jacoby. So I appreciate the fact that this, I look at this as being the kind of company that can grow, will grow, and they'll probably, when they do have their growth, it'll probably be in Welland. So that's why I'm in favor of this, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Olson. The next three in line are Councillor Zalepa, Councillor Bateman, and Councillor Campion. Go ahead, Councillor Zalepa.
Great, thanks, Chair. And I just have just really one question now. This has evolved a little bit from the memo to the discussion today. My question, I guess, through the Chair to the staff is, it appears that there is some available funding envelope for this. It's around $299,000. I guess my question is, if the remainder goes to whether it's the Gateway DC deferral program, I thought I heard from staff say, if they were approved for the application, the applicant would not have to pay those DCs at the building permit stage. But can I get some clarification? Because I think that's the crux of the matter here, when they pay this. So can somebody help me out with that?
Through Chair Foster to Councillor Zalepa. So with the industrial use program, if there was funding available, then yes, they would be approved and they would receive a letter that would allow them to get their building permit without having to pay development charges up front. But with today us having the $299,000 or so available, that is the amount that could be granted, but the remainder would still have to be paid up front, even if they were approved under that program, unless there was some other direction and other funding utilized for that.
I understand. That's perfect. Mr. Turner, thank you for the clarity. And Mr. Chair, I'm looking forward for some guidance from the rest of the council to direct that to happen. I'd like to see that deferral made available, and I'd be comfortable with that. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Zalepa. Councillor Bateman.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The report and throughout the conversation, we've spoken about previous applicants and fairness to previous applicants. So is there a waiting list? So if the funding was exhausted, now we know that there is a little bit left. Do we go to those previous applicants who might have been approved? Can somebody speak to that?
Okay. Associate Director Chen, please go ahead.
Through the chair to Councillor Bateman. So staff do not currently maintain a wait list for this program since the 1 million funding cap has been implemented. What staff been doing is assessing the funding available at the time of the application. And if there's no funding available, we would officially deny the application. But to answer your question, should funding becomes available, in this case, the $299,000 that staff were informed that they are no longer utilized by another project, we do move down to the list to the next applicant to inform that the funding has become available within this fiscal year, and we would approve the associated funding.
Thank you. So just to clarify, if somebody applied and the funding envelope was exhausted, they would be denied. We go back to that person, or we don't go back to that person. It's just the next person that applies, and it happens to be there. I'm just confused about that part.
Through the chair.
I don't know if I'm being.
Oh,
sorry, Chair. I don't know if I'm being clear.
No, I think you are. Please go ahead, Associate Director Chen.
Thank you.
Through the chair to the councillor, we do go back to the next in, I guess the denied list and see who's next in line. In this case, it was the Canadian Metal Building Company and was next in line, and we offered them a $299 funding that was freed up.
Oh, good. Thank you for that. So just 2 quick comments, Chair. DCs seem like very, very problematic. Nothing that truly I expected to be dealing with as a counselor this much, and that may seem naive, but I think that's something, and I'm glad that the province is looking at it. I'm glad this council is looking at it, because they seem really impossible for people to be paying and contributing that amount when they're investing in Niagara. And Councillor Olson mentioned dignity of work, and I think that is important for a couple of reasons. One, still we are waiting for social procurement policy. When I applied for grants, that was my job. They asked every single question they could possibly ask for a $10,000 grant for a nonprofit. They wanted to know about your employees, your work, everything like that. So full-time jobs, union benefits, we don't have any of that information. And industrial jobs are big jobs, and they can be wonderful for economic growth and for families, but they also are, can be very dangerous. So a social procurement policy is something that I'm sad that we don't have at this point, disappointed that we don't have, but I just a note to say I'm grateful for the people who came today and spoke, and I think they did a great job. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bateman. Councillor Campion, please go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. As I'm zooming in, I'm faced with having to look at Councillor Redikoff, and looks like he was writing things there. But what, and you can jump in at some point. What I'd like to do is make an amendment to the motion to receive, which would authorize the staff to approve the industrial program, DC program. And unless Councillor Redikoff has already written one, I'm wondering if staff could assist in actually writing the amendment for me based on the concept of having it approved today, and also the funding based on whatever residual funding is available from the program, as well as then the balance being funded via the tax relief fund. So I know I'm asking a lot of staff right now, but I need help.
Councillor Campion, I am, based on what I've seen with this whole discussion this morning and the differing pieces that are coming into play, I'm just wondering with staff, like is there further discussions are going to have to go on at staff to see what can be done with this, and could it be something that's brought to council next week for us to deal with? I'm mindful that I don't want to see us doing something sort of knee-jerk, if you want to put it that way, and not have ourselves well thought out. So, Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for the question, Chair. I'll start with reminding this committee and council that there was great discussion yesterday at Public Health around the use of the Taxpayer Relief Fund. And the committee there chose not to dip into the Taxpayer Relief Fund. What we must contemplate as we contemplate this, this discussion is that we are setting up policy precedent so that any subsequent applications that come under this industrial grant may come back to this council. And the usage of the Taxpayer Relief Fund would be the source of usage, which may delete a already well underfunded program. That being said, I think staff would appreciate the chance to take this away, give it some thought, and come back to council next week with some recommendations around that.
Yeah, Councillor Campion, so I'm thinking with that, if they can produce a report, there would be no issue with us bringing the motion forward and making changes at that point at council, but I leave it to you to decide how you want to proceed.
Yeah, I understand. That makes sense. I just don't want to leave it as it is right now, just to receive. So then I think what I would be looking at is be received for information and staff be directed to provide for further information or options in order to accommodate the DC. We can leave the funding part of it out, but what is the solution to making sure, essentially, concepts what I'm hearing and I also agree with is if they're going to get the grant, they shouldn't be paying for the funding up front. So limiting the requirement for the upfront payment of the DCs, so which would I would believe would be by approving this in some way or form. And then the funding can come back as to how that's going to happen. I guess the question before I can make a determination on this is if they are approved under the Gateway CIP, then and the DCs are waived, basically, how are those DCs funded in that program? Is it going to be the same ways it's going to be funded if we actually fund this, the other way?
Through Councillor or Chair Foster to Councillor Campion. So for the RDC, if they were to be approved for the RDC portion of that program, typically under Gateway, they would have to pay the development charges up front, and those RDCs would then be added into future years' budgets. So they're not added into the current year because it does take time for the construction to be complete and MPAC to do the reassessment and for verification to be met. So that's why typically we don't approve the RDC grants to be waived up front for RDCs, and that's usually where that funding comes from, is forecasted in future budgets, not in the current year.
Thank you for that. So, Chair.
Yeah.
I agree. We probably shouldn't be doing, as you classify it, as a knee-jerk amendment. I do see Councillor Redikoff does have his hand up, so I'd like to hear what he has to say about this. But I will leave it at that, but I would like to have the opportunity to make an amendment after, if required.
So actually, staff have worked on an amendment or to the motion at this point that they're going to display for you, and we're hoping that this is in the general direction that you want to go. So have a look at that and see what you think.
So that looks fine to me. Just the 531,900, that's anticipating that the other money is already in the fund. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Thank you. So I'm happy to utilize that.
I'll second it, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Zalepa. So moved and seconded by Mayor Campion and Councillor Zalepa. Councillor Redicott, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to assist Mayor Campion if I could, but I'm quite content with this. I do have some wording for a motion next when we have our regular council meeting if we don't get the results we're hoping for. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So this is the motion on the floor. I will request this be considered friendly on the thing based on the discussion that's gone on this morning. So we don't have to debate that separately. So any other comments that anyone wishes to bring forward at this point? Seeing none, please vote electronically, yes or no. Okay, that's carried unanimously. So thank you very much, all the delegations that have come in today, and stay tuned for next week. Okay, Adrian, you've had to wait a while, so I'm going to ask you to come forward concerning the delegation that you wish to bring forward to us.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, I do have a summary, if I could pass along. Is that something possible, or is that after my comments? I have like a summary of my my ask to the delegation. Pass along? Okay. Good morning, Chair and members of committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Adrian Ansopoulos. I am here on behalf of 126-4316 Ontario Inc. and the Ansopoulos family, who last year marked 50 years in business in St. Catharines and Niagara. We are proposing to build 9-story, 88-room Home 2 Suites by Hilton, adjoining our existing Hampton Inn in St. Catharines. If we build it, it'll be the first new hotel in St. Catharines in over 50 years. Regional and city development charges on this project total approximately $1.345 million payable in full before our shovel hits the ground. That is close to 8% of our estimated construction cost. Due at the moment, our project has the least cash and the most risk. We are not asking you to waive that money. We are prepared to pay it in full. We are asking for time. We are asking for the time not to carry an interest penalty. We are requesting an interest-free deferral of the regional development charges, structured in installments, for example, 1/3 at occupancy, 1/3 at first anniversary, and 1/3 at second, under an agreement pursuant to Section 27 of the Development Charges Act, 1997. Section 27 of the Development Charges Act permits this region to enter an agreement with any person required to pay a development charge, providing for all or any parts of that charge to be paid before or after it is otherwise payable. There is no eligibility restriction to who may ask for that. The critical point is this: the Act's interest provisions, sections 26.1 and 26.2, expressly do not apply where there is an agreement under Section 27. Interest on the Section 27 agreement is therefore a negotiated term of a contract, not a charge the province requires you to levy. Section 1.9 of the Regional Development Charge Deferral Policy sets interest at the Bank of Canada rate, but that is a policy choice made by this region, under a policy this region adopted under Section 27. What Council set is Council can vary. and the region is not exposed by doing so. Unpaid development charges are recoverable in the same manner as municipal taxes, and we are fully prepared to have an agreement registered on title to provide security satisfactory to the region. You keep every protection you have today. What changes is only the timing and the interest. Under Bill 17, the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act in 2025, the province has deferred development charges to occupancy and eliminated interest on those deferrals for residential, for rental, and institutional development. The stated purpose of this is to free up developer cash flow so projects actually get built. We agree with that purpose entirely. Our difficulty is simply that a hotel is classified as a commercial use, and so it falls outside of those categories. An identical deferral on identical timing is interest-free for a housing project and interest-bearing for ours. We're asking this committee to close that gap using the discretion the Act already provides you with. There's one further term we're asking to be written in an agreement, and I want to be clear and transparent about why. Because the Act's interest provision does not apply where Section 27 agreements exist, entering into one could have an unintended effect. If Queen's Park later extends an interest-free deferral or reduces charges to commercial developments, this project could be told that its terms are governed by its contract rather than by the new law. The very instrument we are using to get relief could lock us out of better relief. So we ask that the agreement include a benefit of future legislation clause if the province extends such relief to a project like ours before our charges are paid. We receive that benefit to extend that charges remaining outstanding. This costs the region nothing today. It applies if and when the province acts, and if simply ensures the agreement does not leave us worse off than the law would have. The province also announced recently the Destination Niagara strategy in the 2025 budget, a plan to draw 25 million visitors a year and add roughly $3 billion in GDP to this region. Those visitors need rooms. Niagara and St. Catharines cannot deliver a visitor economy of that scale on a hotel stock that St. Catharines has been sitting on for over half a century. What does Niagara get in return? 50 to 80 construction jobs at peak, approximately 15 full-time and 25 part-time permanent positions at the hotel, an estimated $280,000 per year in new property tax revenue, an estimated $200,000 per year in municipal accommodation tax. Unlike residential housing, which adds immediate service costs, this hotel brings a self-funding tax stream that only exists if we open our doors. The full $1.25 million in regional development charges paid in full on a schedule that lets this project exist at all. A deferral costs the region nothing but time. A project that does not proceed costs the region all of it. So in close, our request is specific that this committee direct staff to bring forward for council's approval an interest-free deferral agreement for this project under Section 27 of the Development Charges Act, including a benefit of future legislation clause, and if the standards categories in the regional deferral policy do not reach a hotel, that council exercise its authority under Section 27 directly. We have been in the community for 50 years. We would like to invest in the next 50 years. Thank you, and I'll take comments and questions later.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Actually, you can stay here if you wish, if there's any questions from committee at this point. So with that, Acting Regional Chair Height, please go ahead.
Yes, you to the presenter. If you come back to the mic, you're not asking, like we've just gone through an hour where they're asking us to give them relief. You aren't asking for relief. You're only asking for deferral. Is that what I'm hearing?
Non-interest deferral, yes, correct.
A non-interest. Okay, thank you.
There's no other people on the speakers list, so with that, thank you, Adrian. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
So for committee, with this particular presentation, given the request from the delegate will be impacted by regional council being lame duck as of August the 22nd, and yes, we will be lame duck at that point. Is there a mover and seconder for a motion to receive the information from the delegate to enable committee to ask questions of staff in the absence of a formal report? Councillor Olson, please, and Acting Regional Chair Height, second. So we do have this. So anyone wish to speak to this? Councillor Bateman, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to staff, what would the interest be on this?
So actually, we have our legal wishes to say something here before we go any further. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Foster. I appreciate the indulgence, and my apologies to Councillor Bateman because I can't answer your question about interest. That's not my jam. But what I thought might be helpful in terms of having council give consideration to this is just a bit of framework setting as it relates to this. I appreciate the question that was put to the delegate with respect to the nature of the relief that they are seeking. But I do want to ensure that council appreciate that they are in fact seeking a form of relief. So the Development Charges Act does permit prepayments as well as deferral of payments. That is accurate. And as a part of that, council has approved a deferral policy. So staff brought this matter forward to council with options, and council made a policy decision as to the types of matters for which a deferral would be eligible. And council specifically tied the items in the deferral policy to things that were already the part of council's goals with respect to incentivizing certain types of development. Hotels or developments of this kind are not included within the deferral policy. So in fact, this is not eligible, strictly speaking, based on the framework that council has approved for a deferral. So I think that is important for council to bear in mind, because effectively, outside of that deferral policy, this development is subject to the same rules as everyone else. They have to pay their development charges up front in accordance with what the Development Charges Act says, which for most things and things such as this is building permit. In the case of residential, council knows that has now been deferred to occupancy as a result of the legislative changes. So I want to be clear for council in terms of considering matters such as this. They do have a precedent-setting impact, and if council so chooses, there is also an opportunity for legal advice in closed session if council would like to receive that as well. So thank you, Chair, and I do apologize, Councillor Bateman. I'm sure someone in finance can speak to the interest.
Yeah, I apologize to you, Councillor Bateman, on that. We thought that should get in there. So, okay, Associate Director Chen is going to make some comments to your question.
Through the chair to Councillor Bateman, staff have estimated interest cost based on the request, so defer to full occupancy, and then at the two subsequent anniversaries at 5% interest rate as outlined in the region's DC interest policy. The total estimated interest cost will be $188,000.
Councillor Bateman?
Thank you, Chair. I think it would be important to go into closed session. We make decisions at council and policy based on staff recommendations. And I think it's important that we listen to staff recommendations. Obviously, every case is individual, and that's why council is here to look at it through that lens. But I think it is important to go into closed session to better understand why the policy was made the way it was made.
Okay, thank you. So
I'm sorry, I guess that's not a question. I did intend it to be a question until I got the information.
No.
My apologies.
No, there's essentially a motion on the floor, so not a problem. What we'll do then, we won't go into closed session now. We'll go in later, but we will have that as part of the discussion as we go into closed session. So if that's okay with everyone. And we'll continue on and finish off the rest of...
Point of order, Chair.
Yeah.
It's Redicop. I don't believe that how a policy was created is the subject of closed session discussion.
I'm going to turn
that should be public.
I'm going to turn it to Director Gibbs just to provide better commentary, Councillor Redicop.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, my apologies to provide some clarity. What I was offering to council was if they wish to go into legal advice with respect to the consideration of this request. So not with respect to the formation of the policy, as I mentioned, and certainly if council have questions on that, they can ask those in open. As I indicated, the policy was really tied to the strategic direction that council was going in respect of matters they wish to incentivize. And at that point in time, and there was no desire to incentivize, as far as I'm aware. It wasn't a priority with respect to hotels and that type of thing, which is why it's outside of the policy. But to be clear, if council wishes to have legal advice with respect to considering this deferral request, that would be what I would suggest would be proper for closed session purposes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Nope, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so we will put this particular motion on hold, if I can do such a thing. I'm looking over at the clerk, and we'll come to it once we've gone through closed session and come back. Is that currently? Yeah.
Point of order, we have a speakers list first before you go even discussing closed session, if we go to closed session.
Yeah, for sure. So just a moment. So speakers list, Councillor Secord, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is kind of timely because we had our DC training, I would call it, last week. We talked about it, and we were towards the end of the conversation, and one of the things that I had brought up was that if we were to run into a major development where, you know, there's a pile of cash they have to put up front to get things off and running, was there a way that we could defer them paying the development charges, you know, until things got moving? And the answer was yes, that it could be. And now I hear with this one, it's not part of it. One of the things I just want to point out to council, the Natsopoulos family has many hotels in St. Catharines and have been running these for several years, as long as I can remember. And this is the first new hotel in St. Catharines in 50 years. Now, for those of you who are not in the construction business as I am, construction is slow. The trades, there's work out there, but there's not a lot. This is an opportune time for this company to move forward with this. However, cash flow, and I'm guessing the numbers that are traveling right now are down. We're not in a boom. So, you know, any help we can do this, that's why I'm eager to go into camera to see how we can do this. But I think this is something we should be definitely considering moving this. And I'd be interested to hear from staff on how we move this development into something that we could give a deferral to them. I just, you know, we're going to get our money. They're not saying they're not going to give it to us. It's just, you know, putting shovels on the ground on a hotel of that size. That's a pretty big development, and that's a lot of jobs for the region. Thank you.
Through the chair. So two things, the policy, the way it's written right now, doesn't authorize staff to enter into the payment plan. Secondly, waiving the interest is something that staff would not recommend. And if you're so inclined, we would provide the support and rationale for that in closed session.
Okay. Councillor Secord, are you okay? Yep. Councillor Height. Councillor Diodati, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, my question is, should this hotel be built, what would the annual property taxes be calculated approximately? Through you, Chair.
Staff are suggesting they're going to have to take that away to come up with that number, Councillor Diodati.
Well, I guess thank you. I appreciate that, Chair. And in my opinion, this is not about legal. We don't need legal. This is a council strategic policy we're discussing, and I'm inclined to support this way of thinking. You know, developers can't borrow on soft costs. Something like development charges and these types of matters, they're considered soft costs. You can't get financing on them. And if we're able to help them with their financing, we need to do the math comparison of how much we're going to make yearly in property taxes versus one-time development charge costs. So I'd be curious to see that number, and I'm definitely supportive of this type of an approach. They're not asking, for us to waive them. They're asking to do it in, conjunction with their development and their financing. So I just want to be clear and put that on the record. I'm supportive of this kind of innovative approach to financing and helping and working with these developers so they can build. Even in Niagara Falls, we haven't had a new hotel built in almost 18 years. It's too expensive to build hotels, and development charges are the number one complaint that they have why they're not building hotels. I'll leave it there. Thank you, Chair.
So just in order to get us through this, and by the way, so this was I think I'm going to say this right, an unsolicited request coming in from a delegation this morning, and we do not have any staff report, or we do not have any information from staff to help us at this point. So that being said, we do have us receiving the delegation. And again, similar to what we talked about earlier, would staff be able to go and provide a more comprehensive report for us to deal with appropriately at the upcoming council meeting?
Chair, I was going to move to receive. I'm next on the list.
Yeah.
I was going to receive and refer to staff to come back for the 30th of July with a report that we can deal with.
Yeah,
we're dealing with two things on the 30th. I think we're dealing with grants, and we're also dealing with council. So they have the opportunity to bring it back for that meeting.
Not a problem. So
I'd second that, Chair.
yeah, we got a whole bunch of seconders here. So yes, we'll go with Redicop as a seconder. So so with that, so please vote electronically, yes or no. Okay, thank you. That's been unanimous. So to the delegation, so obviously you just heard we're going to be getting a report back that's going to be coming to our next council meeting. So keep in touch with staff as it's going on appropriately. Okay, thank you. So we have items for consideration, and Councillor Sorrento's leaving. He's had enough. Yeah. First item for consideration, CSD 28-2026, Building Community Strong Fund, the Community Stream Update. Can I ask Councillor Gannan to move and Councillor Grant to second this particular motion that we have?
Yes, Chair.
Of course, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this particular report? Seeing none, vote electronically, yes or no, please. And that is carried. Our next report is CSD 29-2026, Delegation of Authority related to debenture issuance for the period of restricted acts after nomination day for the 2026 municipal election. That's a bit of a mouthful, and the motion itself is fairly significant here. Councillor Bateman, can I get you to move? And Councillor Whalen, can I get you to second this motion, please? Yep, thank you, Councillor Bateman.
So moved, Chair.
Yep, thank you. Any questions or comments to this particular report? Seeing none, please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. Our third report this morning is CSD 36-2026, Niagara Region Policing Cost Allocation Update. Councillor Zalepa, can I get you to move? And can I get...
So moved.
Yeah, and Councillor Encina, can I get you to second that, please? Thank you. Questions or comments to this particular report? Councillor Seaborn, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Foster. This was originally brought up by Councillor Kaiser some time ago. She had gone through some of the reporting numbers and some of them that I'm just going to bring up really quickly. If you look at Niagara on the Lake, they have the highest assessment value. They have now got the highest police costs. Grimsby is second. And so with the numbers being based on assessment, she felt, and I'm afraid I have to agree, that it's somewhat unfair. So if I could take it a step further, if you count Grimsby, Lincoln, and West Lincoln, each of us have higher costs for policing than St. Catharines. So this doesn't...
Before you go on any further, I would like you to be very clear on what you're saying. It is not the highest cost for policing, it is the highest cost per property within the area. So let's be cautious because you may be stating something that isn't true with that. So
then I will stand corrected.
Yeah,
so this was based on assessment.
Thank you.
So I would like to see that this be forwarded to see whether or not we can come up with an alternate way. I will also mention that I asked the Finance Committee if we could remove the police portion of our taxes and make them a little bit more obvious for people, and that has been done municipally. So yes, I would like to see this carry on and see whether or not there's some other way other than basing the cost of policing based on assessment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Seaborn. Councillor Redekop.
I'll take my hand down, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question of procedurally. This happened yesterday at a meeting, and I didn't question it, but again, it's here. This is a motion that we're receiving, right? So why isn't it considered a motion? Why is it under? Sorry, I guess it's under. It's not a consent item. What would? I guess it's why isn't it written as a motion separate from how it appears on the agenda?
It was, of course, it came out of the motion originally from Councillor Kaiser, Councillor Bateman, but I'll ask the clerk staff why this is in front of us the way that it is. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Through the chair, in response to Councillor Kaiser's motion, staff have prepared a report, and this is the recommendation from that report.
So this is a staff recommendation. It's not being brought forward as a motion.
That's correct. It's a recommendation from staff based on the motion that Councillor Kaiser brought forward.
Okay, so I don't know. I'm just surprised to see them this way. It doesn't read that way to me as a staff recommendation as other things do. But Chair, I just a quick commentary. I can entirely appreciate why this is being looked at. I think we need to be able to understand how things are written. And I remember working in the women's shelters sector and addressing the town of Pelham. And one of the questions from a counselor was, how many women stay in the women's shelter who are from Pelham, because we were asking them, I think, for $10,000 at that point. But the crux of this is that they serve the entire community, right? So the amount of crime, the amount of use of police, it needs to be shared. I think we have a lot of work to understand the Niagara Regional Police Service, the work they do, how their budget comes about. I think that that's really, really important for the council now and the next council. I am supportive of this. Looking at the numbers, I'm surprised by the large discrepancy. But again, on assessment, that's how we do things, right? So, and the same goes for education. We have these debates about people paying for education when they don't have kids in the education system. That's not how it works. So just a little bit of commentary. I appreciate the motion and what we're seeking to figure out with the motion. Thanks for your time, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman. So the motion is in front of us and duly moved and seconded, so please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. We do have two additional consent items on the agenda this morning. Does any member wish to vote on either of these remaining consent items separately? Seeing none. I'm going to ask Councillor Diodati to move and Councillor Ganand to second that we have these as a block, these two items, 6.1 and 6.2.
So moved.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions to either one of these reports? Seeing none, please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. So there's 4 items that are in the closed session this morning. I'm sorry. Other business. Does anybody have any other business this morning? Seeing none, there are 4 items on the agenda for closed session, and I. Oh, sorry. Oh, Councillor Bateman, please go ahead.
Sorry, Chair. My apologies. Thank you. I had a bit of an email back and forth. I'm not sure that this was what this was about, but we are not receiving. We have not received any information about the services being downloaded by the province. So that was brought in February. So we've had March, April, May, June, and now July. Still nothing. I don't understand, quite frankly, why it's been so long. I get a lot of pushback from bringing motions, but when we ask for a staff report, I don't understand why it's taking 5 months.
So I'm going to turn it over to the Commissioner with this, Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor. Just as an update, I had reached out to you a little bit earlier, and for Council's knowledge, it's intended on going out on the CW on Friday. We just ran out of time to get it on this agenda.
So when will we have time to look through you, Chair? When will we have time to look at that and Council have a discussion about it? Because the intent was to bring it to a corporate services meeting, not simply have it on weekly correspondence.
I would suggest, Councillor Bateman, that going out on the weekly, we can talk about it in the August corporate services meeting. So if that's okay with you, or it is correspondence, you do have every opportunity to bring it forward to Council if you wish as well.
Thank you. I will express some disappointment. We have our AMO coming up. Pushing it to that late gives us very little time to strategize, to understand, ask questions, to absorb the information. I'm disappointed, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bateman. So closed session, we do have 4 items there. And I'm assuming, based on what we decided earlier with the other, that there's no closed session required for that at this point. So there's 4 items. Do any members wish to go into closed session to discuss any of these items? Seeing none. So now what we have to do is we have to go through and do our business arising from this. So can I get Councillor Seaborn and Acting Regional Chair Height to move item 8.1, confidential CST 19-2026? Thank you. Any questions to the motion? Please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. Councillor Secord, could you move, and Councillor Nsinna, can you second item 8.2, confidential CSD 23-2026? Thank you. Any questions to the motion? Please vote electronically, yes or no. And that is carried. Councillor Campion, can you move, and Councillor Councillor Redekop, can you second items 8.3, confidential CST 24-2026?
I'd be delighted, Chair.
Me too.
The delight factor. Any questions to the motion? Please vote electronically, yes or no. That's carried. And can I get Councillor De Zalepa to move and Councillor Bateman to second item 8.3 or 8.4, sorry, confidential CSD 26-2026?
So moved.
Great, thank you. Any questions to the motion? Please vote electronically, yes or no. Okay, that is carried. Quite a meeting this morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your indulgence. A lot of great discussion. The next meeting will be held on Wednesday, August the 12th, here at Council Chambers, the regional headquarters here in lovely Niagara. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.